Hello and welcome to pmclounge.com. Today we are discussing the monitor stakeholder engagement process. Now, as you can see on the screen, there are some cameras that are monitoring something. You as a project manager should not be thinking about installing cameras to monitor your stakeholders, but it is a good way to kind of denote what you should be doing, monitoring your stakeholder and making sure that they are engaged with your project. Now, as always, if you're into reading articles, first link in the description is going to take you to an article on this topic over at our official website pmclounge.com, so you can check that out. Second link is going to be a playlist of every single video that we have done in the stakeholder management knowledge area. And the third link is going to be your FAQs that we have answered around stakeholder management knowledge area in our series known as Lounge Fever. If you're looking for videos and playlists of other knowledge areas, you can head over to the playlist section of our YouTube channel. That's where you will find all the knowledge areas listed in their playlists. Let's get started. So the monitor stakeholder engagement process is actually the only process under the monitoring and controlling process group in the stakeholder management knowledge area, of course. And I would like to congratulate you if you have studied all other processes that came in before this process, because this one is the last process in your marathon studies for PMP. So congratulations. I'm pretty sure you're going to clear your PMP exam. Now let's take a look at the PGKA mapping. So project stakeholder management, this is the knowledge area, the last knowledge area in your PMP courseware. And monitoring and controlling process group, this is the process group. This is the process that we are discussing. We have already discussed these three processes. We've also discussed all other processes in other knowledge areas. Like I mentioned, the playlist section of this YouTube channel is going to be helpful. All right, let's talk about the monitor stakeholder engagement process a bit more. So this process is all about monitoring the project stakeholder relationships and tailoring your strategies to engage stakeholders. Now, when you were creating your stakeholder engagement plan, you came up with some strategies about how you're going to engage your stakeholders, right? So it is time that you take care and monitor whether your stakeholder relationships are doing good, and if not, you should be tailoring your strategies to make sure that your relationships with your stakeholders are good enough for you to run the project successfully. So this is where you not just monitor how your relationships with your stakeholders are, but you can also tailor your strategies that you had decided in your stakeholder engagement plan. So this process maintains or increases the effectiveness of stakeholder engagement activities as the project progresses. Now, as you move on in your project, as your project proceeds, a lot of things change, right? Project is an environment that has a lot of change. So when you move further, a lot of things are going to change. Things may go down south, some things may go right, some things may go wrong, mistakes happen. All of that happens as your project progresses. So you need to maintain the effectiveness of your stakeholder engagement, or try to increase the effectiveness of your stakeholder engagement as your project progresses further. A quick reminder, if you're looking for book recommendations for your PMP exam, you can head over to pmclounge.com/resources. That's where we have listed our favorite books and resources for your PMP preparation. Hundreds of our community members have cleared their exams following these recommendations. Now, I already told you that monitor stakeholder engagement is the process that comes in at the last in your PMP courseware. But it doesn't really mean that this is something that you do at the end of your project, right? Towards the end of your project. But still, when you are at the point of monitoring your stakeholder engagement, you have done a lot of groundwork already. At this point, you exactly know what your stakeholders' requirements are. So when you are monitoring their engagement, all you need to do is to monitor how close or how far your project is from meeting the stakeholders' requirements. Remember, the processes that fall under the monitoring and controlling process group are generally measuring something, right? So when we say monitor stakeholder engagement, you are measuring exactly how far or close you are to the stakeholders' requirements. You know their requirements and you need to understand where your project stands today and is your project going to be able to meet the requirements of the stakeholders. If not, you can tailor your strategies and you can make sure that the stakeholders requirements are met and their engagement only increases as you move on in your project. Now you can obviously make course corrections, which I just mentioned, and you can make changes towards your strategies, towards even your project plans, if that is something that satisfies the stakeholders, right? So if there is a stakeholder who has high influence, high power, high interest, right, you might want to change your project plans if it is possible to make sure that the stakeholder remains satisfied. Let's talk about the project sponsor. Project sponsor is the person who is providing the funds for your project. So if you have to change your project plans to make sure that the sponsor of the project remains satisfied, you are going to do just that. Also, none of the inputs, tools, and techniques and outputs are going to surprise you here, because everything that you read is something that you would have already read earlier, right? Like I said, this is the last process in your PMP courseware. Also, if it isn't evident yet, this process is performed throughout the project. Again, this is not something that you're going to do towards the end of the project or towards a certain milestone, right? You need to monitor the engagement of your stakeholders throughout the life of your project. Finally, question for this video: do you use any software or do you use a model, maybe a questionnaire or something, to monitor your stakeholder engagement? If yes, let me know in the comments. I definitely look forward to your answers. So that's all that we had in this video. I hope the process was clear. Smash that like button if you got value out of it. It helps us stay motivated and create more free content for you. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified whenever we upload new content. Also, don't forget to check out the website pmclounge.com, your number one free PMP resource.